Okay, hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about international trade, as we have discussed previously in the class that what is export, what is import. So both export and import are part of international trade. So today we are going to talk about what is international trade, and there is a very specific thing in international trade named as intra-industry trade. So we are going to talk about both. So let's start with what is the importance of international trade. Why international trade is important? The first point is make use of abundant production. As all of us are aware that there are so many countries in the world, and every country have some specific kind of production. Every country has a huge production of one or another ingredient. So that particular country may not be able to utilize whatever they are producing. That's why they have an ample amount of resources ready with them. To avoid wastage of that material, that abundant production, we can have an international trade. Then comparative advantage. Sometimes what will happen that many countries will produce the same sort of a product, but some countries are going to produce that product at a cheaper rate. So ultimately what will happen, if we avoid producing that same product at a higher cost, if we purchase from them, then that will help us to get that comparative advantage. So we can save our resources and focus on something else. So that's why this international trade is important. When we internationally trade products, at that time it will be a very useful thing for consumers, because consumers will definitely get access to a larger number of options, larger choice will be there. So due to which the consumer definitely want to have an international trade. Then specialization and economy of scale, because let's suppose when you visit a local market and you want to buy a tomato. So you want to buy a 1 kg of tomato, that person might give you that tomato at a rate of 30 rupees per kg. But if you take that product at 1000 kg, then definitely you will get that product at a cheaper price. You will get the tomato at maybe around 22 or 23 rupees. So that is called as an economy of scale. So that is also a benefit when we produce on a large scale. Then service sector trades. So obviously service sector is a very significant sector nowadays, and this service sector is definitely going to help if there is an internationalization of the things. International things feel exotic and many people will opt for them. Then the last advantage, this is last on this PPT, but definitely this is not the last advantage of international trade. So global growth and economics development. Obviously when there is a trade, that trade will help you to grow economically also. So globalization will definitely have a good impact on international trade. So these are the few advantages of international trade. As I have discussed, comparative advantage. Some countries may produce that product at a cheaper price. That's why international trade is important. Then economies of scale. Some countries are definitely going to have the production in a very large quantity. That will help them. That is called as the economy of scale. Then due to this internalization, the competition is going to be a huge. So cheap product can be purchased by the consumer at a cheaper price. Then transfer of technology. When all the countries are producing that, when all the countries are engaged into the trade, so ultimately they are going to share secrets, they are going to share trades of technology. So transfer of technology is going to help overall world, and the most important thing, overall more job creation. So that's why international trade is a very significant term. So now let's talk about the very unique thing which is termed as a intra-industry trade. So when we talk about intra-industry trade, we need to understand when we are talking about intra-industry trade, it is an international trade only. So इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड ही हम कर रहे हैं बस अलग चीज के साथ. ओके, बिफोर telling about intra-industry trade, just watch this image. the blue lemon, where the yellow colored lemon is there. So what is happening? This is not our regular lemon. It represents something which is very unique, as that of intra-industry trade. Intra-industry trade refers to the trade between two countries within the same category. So what does it mean? When we generally consume dinner at our home, when we don't have a rice with us, or when we don't have a dal with us, whatever we don't have, we will ask someone to serve that. अगर हमारे पास दाल नहीं तो हम किसी को बोलेंगे दाल दे दो या चावल दे दो. But we will never ask them to serve us which we already have. हमारे पास जो already है हम उसको नहीं चाहेंगे. So in intra-industry trade, we purchase the things which we already have. That is the beauty of intra-industry trade. So the term usually applied to an international trade where the same type of products are purchased by the other countries. So there is a difference between intra-industry trade and inter-industry trade. These terms may seem very similar to you, intra-industry and inter-industry. So when we are talking about inter-industry, we are talking about trade between two different sort of products. For example, suppose China is producing electronics in a huge quantity. At the same time, Africa is having a huge mineral content with them. So China is trading their electronics to Africa and Africa is sending their minerals to China. This is called as an inter-industry trade, because a mineral industry is different and equipment or the digital industry or the industry where digital things are getting produced, that is a different. So these are two different industries. That's why it's called as a inter-industry trade. But when companies are trading, the companies are trading outside their geographical borders of a country, international trade, in a same category, then that is known as a intra-industry trade. Inter-industry trade is a trade of products that are from different industries. So for example, food industry is there, for example, electronics industry is there, IT industry is there, and there are many industries all over the globe. And this is a logical thing, because inter-industry trade is a logical, because some countries have resources which are required for production of some specific sort of products. So that country is exchanging products with some other country, which seems logical. Intra-industry trade, on other hand, is a trade between a same industry. For example, food industry. Suppose one product is getting produced at a cheaper rate in India, and other country like, let's say, England also produces same product at a cheaper rate. Both the countries are able to produce rice at a cheaper rate. Why they should do exchange? They should not, because दोनों एक ही चीज produce कर रहे, so they might not be able to get benefit out of it. So as we think, but in reality, that trade is very important, and that trade, when both the countries are engaged in a trade of a same product, is intra-industry trade. Intra-industry trade, which is also referred as IIT, that has a similar products but different exchange will be there in a same product category. So, okay, as you can see the world map here. So let's try to identify some countries. So do one thing, just pause this video and try to identify this country. Take a pause this video and try to identify this country. And let's see whether you are right or wrong. Yes, so many of you are right. This is Australia. Australia, all of us are know, because we are a cricket loving country and all of us are aware about Australia. So this is Australia, which produces a wine named as a yellow tail. This is a wine produced in Australia, which is getting sold to this country, and all of us are aware this is India. So yellow tail is getting sold to India. So this is generally a import from India and export from Australia. But at the same time, India also have a very famous wine. Can you guess the wine? Now again you can pause and think about this. What is the famous Indian wine? So India produces Sula wine, and India also send this product to Australia. So Australia already have a good quality of wine with them, and still they are importing, and India also have a good quality of wine with them, still they are importing. So this import is called import, and export is called as a intra-industry trade. So let's talk about the benefits, why people are inclining towards this intra-industry trade. First of all, intra-industry trade increases the variety of products in a same industry. Everyone likes a variety. If you have a multiple options ready for you, then definitely you are going to like that. So the first advantage of intra-industry trade is that you have a ample amount of varieties with you. You will have access to n number of different varieties. This is the first and the foremost advantage of intra-industry trade. And this particular varieties is very helpful not just for the customer but business also, because businesses can also send you different products in the market, and if there are different products available in the market, so industries can get more benefit out of it. And then second advantage is that intra-industry trade gives opportunity for businesses to benefit from the economy of scale as well as use their comparative advantage. So if suppose one country is producing one particular product at a very huge larger volumes, so they will get a benefit of economy of scale, ज़्यादा quantity में produce करने का फायदा. But at the same time, those countries will also get a comparative advantage, comparatively cheaper product. So this both advantage which generally countries will like to have, that can be opted by this intra-industry trade. And the last advantage of intra-industry trade is that this stimulate the innovation, because as we are aware that intra-industry trade will help you to have a larger competition. If there is a large competition in the market, if there are, let's assume 50 different companies are producing same product, so ultimately what will happen, that every company will try to sell their product at a cheaper price. So there is a benefit to the customer, that every customer will get a product at a cheaper price. But it's not enough. Getting product at a cheaper price, it's not enough. Every company will try to increase the quality of their product also, because many people will go for the quality, and this will definitely stimulate the innovation in this sector, whatever sector that may be. If there is an intra-industry trade going on in that sector, that will definitely lead to a position where there will be a huge competition, where there will be a very large competitors are there, and those large competitors will try to stimulate this sector by doing different sort of innovations. And this particular innovation will definitely help that sector to grow, not just for a short term but at a large scale also. So up to this point, what we have covered, first of all we talked about international trade, where we got to know that import and export both are part of international trade. This international trade generally helps every country to grow. Obviously export is a better than import. Why? Because you are getting access to the foreign currency. But there are few countries which don't possess any sort of resources with them. For example, all these Middle Eastern countries where they don't have agriculture ready with them. So for them import also plays a very significant role. So import and export both are part of international trade. When we do international trade, both countries get benefit. The importing country will get a benefit by getting access to the product, and exporting country will be benefited by getting money in return of that product. So up to this point we got to know that export and import are very important for any sort of a country, and both are part of international trade. Then we got to know that there is intra-industry trade. So what does it mean? That most of the countries will get exported and import their product depending on their requirement. And we also got to know, even in a case when there is a availability of that product, the international trade don't stop. So up to this point you may have heard about caviar, which is imported from many other countries. So caviar is basically a fish product. So India have a huge amount of fish products in India. Why India is importing caviar? At the same time, India is exporting many fish products because it benefits. It's not just like a traditional export and import. It's called as an intra-industry trade. Another example, which may not be a part of a food technology, that is import and export of cars. India export many sort of cars to other countries. At the same time, India import many other cars in India. So this particular scenario is helpful for international trade, as well as it is helpful for any company which is growing in India or abroad. So basically that's it. We are done for the day, and next time we are going to talk about the different sort of international laws and regulations particularly related to food. So thank you everyone. Thank you.